Hello everyone and welcome to Test Automation Fundamental Series, Module 7. If you didn't watch any of the previous modules, I would highly recommend to check link from the description of this video and get the complete context before you start here. Let's see in terms of training series contents what we have covered so far. We completed our project setup, set the dependencies, understood the application under test, and then we started creating some tests. And then in module 6, we also had a lab assignment which we needed to complete before that. And in terms of agenda in this current module, what we have, complete the labs, module 6 lab work, which I have completed offline, and I assume you guys have already completed. And then we'll handle radio button and checkboxes, which were excluded from the lab work. And then the last two tabs, which were select price and send code, they were missing, and we will cover that. And then we also learn some tips how to handle a locator other than the IDs. So far, we use only IDs, and we'll in this module, we'll try to explore some other ways like xpath or something like that. Let's start our project. I've opened Eclipse IDE, and if you notice that I have completed all this. This was the lab work. So where I am now, let me run it, then we'll see. If I run this as a Java application, okay, so we have all the data loaded except the radio buttons and this checkboxes and the checkboxes on this page. That's why this page is not loaded. Let's try to work on that. Let me complete this one, and I have opened another page for us to work on it. So let's start working with the gender. Before doing that, we learn how to use XPath, and then we will continue that. So XPath is another way to find and locate a web element. I right clicked on a web element and hit the inspection mode. And now inside the dev mode, I'm clicking Control F. If I click that, then at the bottom, I see a little window which gives me the option to search something. And let's formulate XPath, what XPath is. We have completed this date of birth. I will repeat this with XPath. In that way, we will have some basic understanding of XPath, and then we'll apply the same understanding with a gender also. Inspect on date of birth. So on this area, previously we used ID. It has an input tag, name. Let's say instead of ID, we can use ID, and we'll make the ID as an XPath. So input ID as a date of birth. Let me go to before I create. So XPath starts with the forward slash and input tag, square brackets, then add attribute, which is ID, and then value in single quotes, which is the date of birth. So it gives me exactly the same locator, which I basically found using the ID. So what I will do, I will go to my application here. Let's say this is the date of manufacturer. Let's go to close to a radio button, and this is the birth date. Let's say if I say, hey driver, find element by XPath instead of ID, and my XPath is this, and then do everything, remaining everything same, which you were doing by using the ID and pass this value here. So that is exactly equivalent to the using ID, and I will comment it. So this will work, and we'll see that because it's already located. And let's apply the same methodology here in the radio button. So to formulate the radio button XPath, I will right click on that, inspect. It's a group of two values. If I go inside, oh, it has an ID as well. But think about it. If I use ID, then I can click only on one item. So I need some common ground so that I can parameterize it and click any of them. Because in the radio button, you need to click one. You cannot click both. So the common area is the name as gender and input is the tag. Let me create its XPath. Its XPath is input and the attribute is name and its value is in single quote is gender. So that gives me two values. So it means this, we found it. And now if we see, this gender is actually inside another class. So they are not side by side. To make them side by side, I need to traverse back one step so that we can say, okay, they are sitting side by side, because we need to move to that level. So what I will do, I will move one step back, which is parent, I can say. And what is the parent? Parent with the tag label. Let's see. So if I go with that approach, then it will give me two elements side by side, and then I can maybe handle those. Let me copy this and go to my code. Here I want to do the radio button. Let's say I ask driver find element by XPath. I'm giving you the XPath, and this is my XPath. Once you find that, so this is not a one element, this is multiple elements. So please, elements, not elements. Okay, once you find these elements, then what you need to do, okay, I will assign it to some variable. Maybe they are web elements, web element, and I say these are gender options. Okay, so these are gender noise complaints. Oh yeah, because it's a collection. It needs collection, it's not a single value. Okay, so now in this collection, there are multiple values. To access one by one into those values, I need a loop. So let's say I use for loop and I say web element, and my option in gender options, it complains about option because I think options I have used. Maybe I can see element. Yes, no, it's okay. Option I have used already. So gender options. So now what do you do? Go one by one, and if your element dot get text, and if its value is equals, yeah, I can ignore case, equal to, I go back here, male or female. So let's say I do female equal to female, then what you do, then click on that element, dot click. Okay, so now what it does, it will find all the elements with this XPath and then goes to there and then find the element which has the text as female, then click on it. So let me save and run it, and so we know that if it works or if it's not some issue. Let's see. Great, it clicked on the female area. So that is working fine. Yeah, some items are missing, so we will go through the other areas, then it will be there. Okay, so we did radio button. Let's move to the next element, which is a checkbox. Let's see checkbox. If I close this guy now and I go back to my applications and go to the checkbox area. Okay, and in the same way, now I try to find the elements under checkbox. It is again the similar way. It has a group, and the common area is hobbies. Let's say I use the name as hobbies, and oh, so I simply if replace the name as hobbies, then it gives me 5 elements. Yeah, so that was pretty quick. So my XPath is almost same, which I did for the radio button, other than changing the name. And let me copy this XPath, come back here and say driver, can you find elements, not an element, by XPath on this XPath and find elements. And once you find them, assign to a web element, and that is hobbies. And I say no. Oh, because it means collection, it's a list, not a single item. Okay, so we found that list of hobbies, and now what do we need to do? We simply go and run the same kind of a loop, just we did for the radio button. For if I say web element hobby, maybe in hobbies, and once you find that, then what do you do? For the hobbies, if in the same way, if a hobby dot get text text dot equals same ignore case text, and if that is the case, then what do you do? Let me find the text. What is the text on my, let's say it's a cliff diving. If it's a cliff diving, what do you do? Go there and do that hobby dot click on it. There you go. So we clicked just like the radio button, we clicked on it. But now if I come back here, I analyze the checkbox is, although it was similar to radio button, but the radio button property was that I can only check one, whereas in the checkbox I can actually select multiple options. So it means we need a list of inputs, not a single input. And so it means, yes, this works well, but if I want to click on some other element, we need to run another loop. So how to do that? Let's see. Let's create an input first. I can create some string array. Maybe it's more like what option to check. And for that, basically, I can assign some multiple values. Let's say multiple values, and one of them is cliff diving. And cliff diving, and if I go to my application, maybe I say bungee jumping, let's say. Yeah. Bungee jumping. And if come here and say bungee jumping. Okay. So once I have two elements, in that case, what I need to do, I need basically to move inside this array one by one to pick that element. So to do that, we use loop, and for loop is this is a string values, so string item in option to check, option to check for the loop, and go inside and check one by one. So this option to check is this value. Okay, item, go there, check first value and second value. And once you do that, what you do, I cut this loop from here and paste it inside. So it means item, you go there, check one by one, and once it's there, then go to another loop, which has an hobbies, a list of the hobbies. And if the hobby text is equal, okay, this is hard-coded value, and now instead of that, I will pass my item value here. And in that way, basically now it's a systematic. So it will click in these two. Let's run quickly and see if it has some error or not. It's a good habit. Whenever you do a little snippet, then try to run it so that you can easily debug or identify problems. It's not that you're stuck identifying many problems in one row. Okay, looks like it clicked on our required options. Yeah, bungee jumping and cliff. So now what we need to do, we need to repeat the same thing for this optional products. Okay, I will go to optional products, and in my application, let's say close this application, go back to my other application which I have. On this page, if I do inspect, and then I find this optional product is the name, and instead of hobbies, now I put optional products as it gives me two values. So I quickly made this xpath and come back here and I say driver.find elements by xpath with this xpath, and once you find them, then you assign it to some element. These are products. So these are the list of, what happened? Oh, it's the same thing. So these are the list of products, and then what I need to do. So I need to go basically in the same way that for loop and web element may be product in products, and if you go there, then what do you do if a product if a product dot get text dot equals ignore case is something, then what you do? Let's see, what's the name? Let's say if I pick this product, Control C, Control V, product, if the product is this, what do? You product dot click on it. Yeah, that's it. So we did that handle, and that looks fine to me. let's do that, and then maybe we jump to the price option section. Okay, let me save it and run our application. Okay, interesting. We are on the select price option page where actually we need to select any of this option. It's the same like a radio button thing. We need to find its XPath. I will close this application, go back to our application, which we are using for all this kind of purpose. I will select an XPath. So if I go here and try to find, let me delete this XPath and try to find it. Its name is select option. Let's say use the name because select option. Yep, use the name, and it's an input, and attribute is select option. Doesn't work. So what was the attribute? So attribute was not select option. That was the value. So attribute is name. Yeah, it worked. And then single quote, select option, it worked. Okay, so once it is, then I also want to parameterize because I want to go with any option which I need to choose. And I can say what value I can pick. I can say the value is silver. Let's say if I concatenate another attribute, which is basically value, and the value is actually, let's say I pick one. Okay, value is silver. And then in the same way, traverse back it to, I traverse back it to parent tab, parent, and what is the parent? It's a label. Okay, I found it. So once we have that, then we copy this and come back to our code. Our code is here, select price. Okay. So this time we have a XPath. Let's say I say string X plan XPath. Plan XPath is equal to XPath is this. And out of this XPath, basically I want to parameterize. So I say another string plan is equal to, what is my plan? Let's say goal. And I want to parameterize. So let me add and concatenate a string in between so we can add some parameter here. I will add this plan here. So it means now we can control this XPath by this plan. And once we do that, then it's pretty straightforward because now we can simply pass any value. And what are those values? We have a silver, gold, platinum, and ultimate. So what I do, ultimate, pick a value, and then instead of gold, I assign ultimate, and then we simply go to driver and say driver find element by XPath. And what is your XPath? Yeah, oh, intelligently it picked already plan XPath. And what you do with that? Click on it. There you go. So what we need, you provide a value and then it should click on that specific value. Let's see, quickly run it and see if it works or not. Run my application. Oh, it wanted to save it. Yes, save please. Okay, if it works, then we'll see how we can handle the code page quickly, and then we'll vehicle data, insurance data, enter product data. Here you go. So it's selected ultimate plan. And now if it's selected, if I go to the code page, I have few text fields. So because it's a text field only, what I did, I just to save our time for the save, because we handle the all text field in module 6. So what I will do, I will basically go to my close this one, go to my project. In the send code area, I will copy paste my all the code which I did handle for. It's more like simply passing the text data, and let me run it. Okay, so we have loaded all our data. Let's go back and see what we have covered so far from our agenda. So what we did out of this was already done. Then we did a bonus round, understood some methods to find the web elements, and then we handle the radio and checkboxes, and then we did complete our code for price and send code. Okay, so this is also done. So what next? Think about it. Now, if you are thinking that you have performed automation, no. Actually, what we did, if I go back to my application, technically we simply loaded our test data. We did not perform any kind of a functional test so far. So it means that is something, and if I need to load this data for my multiple products, I need those number of data sets to load into my application. And yeah, based on some values, let's say whatever the insurance value I selected or the damage insurance value I selected, I need to verify if my values are calculated correctly. Then we also know that previously in previous module that there are some field level validation applied on individual pages. So those are basically, so we what we will be doing, we will be performing a functional level validation for each and every element, and then we will also check if the price calculated is correct, because I unselected so it didn't go there. So if price selected is correct, so how we can make sure? We don't have the formula, but we also can baseline our data that, okay, whatever the data it is, the value should be this. So based on that, if I put the same data again, the value should be same. So in that way, basically we formulate our functional and end-to-end tests. And those I would cover in next module. That next, it means next module would be quite interesting because it will not be only handling the data, but it will be more like building a logic to to design functional and end-to-end tests. And apparently it would be very interesting. So stay tuned and see you in next module.